All right, everyone. Welcome again today to the Exit Your Way Business Roundtable. With Damon Postalka. With me today, I've got Ron Craig. Ron is a copywriter for cybersecurity and technology companies. Welcome, Ron.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me here. I think this should be fun and interesting and maybe a little bit weird. I mean, I have to bring all three. So
yes. Well, I got to say that when we were talking before this and you going through your background, you've got an interesting background, man. It's going to be fun to talk about it and talk about some of the things that you've really done on social media that's different for people in your industry, and kind of what you're thinking of the industry now. So cool.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, I had an interesting, lengthy kind of career, interesting journey to this spot, and an interesting place, I would think, compared to where I started and kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. So let's start back in the beginning, man. So when you got out of, you went to technical school or college there, and you started programming, you were doing game programming.
Yeah. When I first got into computer industry, so if I go way back, let's show my age here. So I got into doing computers, programming, the fun and joy and love of all that stuff when I was about 8 when I first got into computers in terms of doing some things in the mall, going to Sears, things like that, playing with things. And I started doing a lot of fun things from there. And then, I mean, it really continued from that point forward to getting into programming. And programming was my bread and butter, my hobby, right up until I was about yesterday.
There you go.
No, yeah, and so that's what I did for most of my life. So it was programming, assembly language. I did a lot of that, game programming. When I made my way up to Ontario, Canada, I was doing some odd jobs when I first got up here because I kind of just up and left without a plan. Typical young guy, go somewhere, see what happens, and I get up here, couldn't get a job in programming right away or in tech. So I basically had some odd jobs and finally got one working at a game company, Digital Illusions, actually, which is DICE is, used to be fairly well known. They created a lot of Battlefield 1942, things that people know. So that was great. And interesting too is how you get a job at a game company is your resume. You have to write a game. So I spent 2 weeks writing a clone of Breakout, the block smashing game, and sent that to them, and they called me up and said, "Hey, come on down to we'll pay for you to come down to London, and we'll get you hooked up and get you working here." So that was awesome, and I did that for a couple of years until they closed half the company on big old layoff, whatever they were restructuring they were doing, but it was still a good couple of years. Had a good time, made a lot of games, had about eight games that I actually am credited for that you can actually find me online for. That I did for Gameboy Color mostly.
Okay, Xbox. That's what I was going to ask. What it was for? What it was for Gameboy in the color version?
Yep, Game Boy Color, and one on Xbox and one on PlayStation. And we were doing one game on Game Boy Advance when the old hammer came down, but I didn't get to finish that. But I was we won awards actually for a few of our games actually. So we it was quite a time, interesting time, a lot of hard work making games. It's a lot of work.
Well, yeah, and the whole. I mean, to me, it's a mind-blowing concept to bring that whole world into reality. I mean, when you watch some of the games that are coming out now, it's amazing that you're thinking this is all created from nothing, and how the heck do you do that? I mean, it's just amazing. Absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, I think, it's, what I found was tricky too with, as the programming side, as the technical side, it was, we worry about algorithms, we worry about, AI, how things kind of all work together. Yeah. I always had such an admiration for the artistic side of things, and I still do. I'm amazed that somebody can sit there open up Photoshop or whatever they're using and come with it was something where it kind of blows your mind, you know, in terms of the 3D models or whether it's a texture. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, that's a skill and a talent I just don't have, and that's okay. But I definitely have a lot of admiration for anybody in the creative industry and the arts in general. It's just, to me, it's just, it's something that always seems like out of my reach.
It is, to think what it takes to do that stuff. But that's why, I mean, I don't want to geek out about games the whole time we're talking here, but I saw that you started out doing this, and man, you were doing it, and it's not like it's 100 years ago, but you were doing it a while ago, and that was before a lot of the advancements now to make it easier to make a game. So I got to imagine that even making basic games was harder at that point.
Yeah, I have a friend who back in Seattle who his job was, he's in quality control for one of the big gaming companies there, and his job is just to break them.
Oh, great!
And he's been doing it for 10 years, and I'm like, how do you get a job breaking video games? And he goes, talent. I have a talent for it.
Yeah. You know, it's important. You know, it's all part of the, you know, whether you're in programming, whether you're doing games, it doesn't matter. It's all part of the QA process, you know, the test-based process. And you want to make sure that, you know, as these things are solid. Back when we were doing Gameboy games, you have to imagine, too, these things were going out on hardware ROMs. You know, you burn these things.
That's right. I never even thought of that.
There's no patching. There's no fixing this problem down the road. You know, you burn 1 million of these ROMs, you send those out the door. If there's a major problem, you've got a major problem.
Yeah.
so yeah, you know, that's, you know, and it happens today, you know, when something goes wrong. I mean, you know, you can release something that's kind of maybe 80% of the way there and fix it on a service pack.
Yeah.
You didn't have service packs when you were dealing with ROMs. You had to get it out there and get it solid. And I remember doing some of the testing for the games, and you know, especially when because we did Shrek, and Shrek was a launch title for Xbox when Xbox was brand new. And you know, when you get picked to do a launch title, Microsoft, you know, their requirements and their, you know, how thorough they were really at the max. You know, they were taking it. So we were testing. All of us were testers that day. That 2 weeks, like we were testing for 2 weeks, all of us. You know, and like 3 or 4 programmers were actually fixing the issues, but we were doing 12-hour shifts, the entire company, everybody. And they were putting in, you know, if you think, 24 hours a day, 2 full weeks, nonstop, to make sure that thing was, and it passed, it went through first pass at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Which they were very happy with.
That's crazy cool. I mean, I never even thought about that part, but yeah, because I mean, the Game Boy things used to come out on the little, whatever, the plug-in things and junk like that, or whatever it was. My son had a couple of, he had so many of those things, but you're right. There's no changing it once it's done.
No, there's no, it's pretty much impossible at that point. Yeah. Cause, you know, it's so easy nowadays, right? You can, I shouldn't say easy, but you have to still do a lot of work, but you can just, you know, put it out and, you know, maybe catch up later. And I don't want to say people are doing that. I mean, that's not very, but, you know, it does happen. And, you know, the complexity, just like you were saying, you know, where you think that, you know, things were maybe, let's say, easier or harder in the past, you know, I think that's, you know, it's relative. You know, we were doing things, especially at Digital Illusions. One thing that we did that was actually probably very unique is we were programming all the Game Boy Color games in assembly language, low-level machine language, right directly. We weren't using C or anything like that. We were actually going low level. And that was allowing us to manipulate the hardware at a level that most people were just not capable of doing. You know, we knew every instruction. We knew every cycle or everything that was happening on the hardware. We knew where the raster was that was drawing the screen. And so we were doing some pretty awesome things. We came out with a high color technology that allowed us to put on more than 256 colors on the screen at one time that almost no other company was able to do, because we can manipulate things at that level.
Yeah. That's cool as heck, man. Because I just, when you think about what that was like, you know, I think he's having some internet troubles there, but we got him back.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we're geeking out here.
Yeah, you're geeking out. We can't run our computers in normal people mode. And,
Yeah.
but we got that's interesting because it is as you saw with that kind of thing. Even today, I think there's people that are doing work that's at a more basic level. And I don't mean basic level. I don't mean they're using the fundamental stuff rather than the more advanced to be able to control some things that they can't by using I shouldn't say easier, but whatever. I'm not using the right words, but
No, I understand.
You understand what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. So the interesting thing, Ron, we've known each other for a while, talked a few times on LinkedIn. We're in a couple of chat groups together, messaging groups together. Good stuff. You're relatively new to social media.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm new to a lot of things. You know, it's I'm new to this hair issue. I mean, yeah. I only got on social media about I would say about a year and a half ago. I was just the day job. I was doing IT, cybersecurity, and programming, and basically all three. Small company, typical, wearing all the hats, and I think like a lot of people, I had a LinkedIn account, and it was there. I think it had 40 or connections or something like that. Just people I worked with in the past. The typical stigma of LinkedIn in the past, where you added people you work with if you ever went on in the first place.
Yeah.
So so I was at work, and one day I was sitting there. I was getting burned out at work at one point, and so what I did is I took some time off, and I kind of relaxed and I chilled. I kind of I thought about things, I kind of reflected on what I wanted to do going forward, and I'm not even sure how I even came into doing the LinkedIn. I'm not even sure like what why that why this platform, why I know why that time, and the time was I'm coming back. I took about 6 weeks off, recharge, recoup, get kind of the health back, and then I thought, why am I getting myself in this state? I'm working nonstop, which I still work nonstop, but I didn't feel like I was doing what I wanted to do. One thing about me, I've always been very, dedicated and to helping people.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm in the security, what I do now, and, helping and support and things like that. So I wanted to do that in a bigger way. So, come, and enter LinkedIn in the picture. So I started out, with very few connections, very few followers. And I started commenting, on posts and getting myself known and being strategic in that fashion, and not having the courage to really post. And I'm sure that's a common story for a lot of people, who wants to hear what I have to say, so I did the usual, you go in the comments, you comment, constructively, add value as you go. People start adding you, and then I just, finally, dropped the hammer one day and decided I'm going to write my own posts. And I wasn't really writing posts in the beginning. What I was doing in the beginning was, I think where still I see a lot of people doing the same thing today, is they just, what's the trending story of the day? Oh, it's on, CNN. So you paste the link in, add a couple words at the top maybe, and that's it. You're not really providing any additional value other than, other than what your thoughts are, but, it's not original content. Mm-hmm. And then I did that for a bit. I was sharing documents and putting a lot of good things out there. And then I realized I was doing well. I was, growing and following, growing in connections, and, getting, a lot more confident. And then I came across, because I got on LinkedIn, kind of interesting, where Kirsty Bonner was actually, still on a low following level. Yeah. That's not the case now.
Yeah.
And, I was chatting with her one day, because I was connected with her, and we kept, we used to chat back and forth. And then I asked her one time, I said, you do really well. I like your posts. I like how you write. And so she actually, just like with almost no warning, she said, she got time for a call. So she calls me up in the evening, which I guess would have been her middle of the night.
Yeah.
And just like went through my profile, went through my posts, and she said, well, okay, well, here's some recommendations. And actually said, something that has stuck with me today, that I still hold, to heart and to value today, where she kept asking me, like, why are you doing this? Why are you sharing this? Why are you doing this? This is all third party. This is somebody else's work. She goes, why are you, I want to know what Ron Craig, the expert, has to say. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you do. She goes, I don't care what they do. If I want to, and she said, and this is what she said to me. She goes, if I wanted to read an article on CNN, I'll go get it myself. I don't need you to give it to me. Yeah. And so that advice has still stuck with me today, and I still take that to heart. So I owe her a lot in terms of that one session with her a year and a half ago, where she and not even no charge, just let me help you.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It's so funny that you said that, Ron, because I remember that same conversation I had with Mike O'Connor this time last year, maybe sometime in the fall. He said,
middle of the night too, right?
Yeah, it probably was. I don't know when it was, but it was like he's like, dude, why are you sharing people's content? You're just making them famous or something like that. He said, you need to be writing your own stuff. And I was the same damn way. I was like, man, I write something. Who the hell wants to listen to me? Yeah. And then you start doing it a little bit, like you said, and it gets easier. And then pretty much the training wheels come off, and you really don't give a F what anybody thinks after a while. And you just say what you think and what you feel, really, because as you talk about it, and I see this in your stuff too, it's like, listen, this is around a subject or who I am or how I feel about things. And you will develop people that like that. There are people that will connect with that. And that's what I think she was probably trying to say. And yeah, she's got a bit more following now. I think it's about 2.2 million now or something like that.
Yep.
It's pretty significant, but it's so interesting that you say that, because I think that's the journey for a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah. Paula Goodman's in here. Just say, hey, you just got to start,
Yep.
Yeah.
You do. That's a great thing. She's exactly right. You do just have to start. You just
with
have
everything. With everything in life, you really just have to jump in. If you can wait for the perfect moment, but as we all know in business, there is no perfect moment. You're never going to start. You've already failed before you even got out of the gate.
That's a great thing. It's a great thing to think about, because there's, you see people all the time. Well, it's not the right time. When is the right time? It's never going to be the right time. You're never going to feel comfortable.
Now is the right time, basically.
Now, exactly. What time? That's exactly the answer. I got to remember that next time somebody says that.
Yeah.
It is.
Quick question for you, Ron. What's on the T-shirt?
Oh, this is just something, a conference we were at. It's called Spin Toronto. Typically, you don't see me wearing. You see me wearing shirts and pants, by the way.
You have pants too. We just want to make sure your pants.
But thank you typically, most of the time, the shirts that I'm wearing are actually usually SpaceX or NASA, because that's one of my biggest passions is SpaceX, NASA. I'm in a number of NASA and SpaceX groups actually that we talk every day with a lot of scientists in there, and so something that's really dear to me is so.
I mean, you look at what SpaceX did. It is absolutely freaking incredible.
Yeah. Yep.
What they've done to be able to launch a rocket and land that son of a gun. That is, I mean, the physics and the difficulty in that, if people haven't contemplated what that is, it's the controlled explosion. And you're trying to make, first of all, a rocket, but then bringing it back down and setting it and not wrecking it. It's just incredible. They have revolutionized space travel, and I don't think people make nearly enough of it.
I do. I praise them all the time. And one thing that we have to look at too. Now we have, we see this on Earth. We've done the same thing on Earth, where we've kind of dumped our garbage everywhere in the world, and space is no different. There's about 200,000 pieces of shrapnel. Is the best way of looking at it, because this stuff is moving at 18,000 miles an hour. They're bullets that are flying through space. 200,000 are currently being tracked all through orbit. SpaceX has basically gone through and said, we can reduce that. We don't have to keep adding to that anymore. And plus the technology is just phenomenal, that they're doing. And of course that launched the other day where they put the grain silo, little 150-meter hop there. But it was, it's like, it's just amazing. I like what, the NASA administrator said about Elon Musk. And I think it's because, he's definitely what I would call my biggest mentor, hero. I love the guy. And, that he will get it done. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It doesn't matter how hard it is. He will dig in. He will work.
Yeah.
Till his fingers fall off to get it done.
There, no doubt. You got to respect that, man. Because, and then when you listen to the story behind SpaceX, what did he put like 100 million in and they blew up the rockets and you get to the end and the last one had to perform. Otherwise they were done.
Yep.
It's like, oh man, put it on the line like that, and it's really cool to see that the way that that's changed. But I digress. It's very interesting and cool from a technology standpoint as well. So couple other things here. Now you've got a couple things here that you've done. So Gary Vaynerchuk has mentioned you in some comments, and so that wasn't by chance. You sat back and you figured out what you were going to do to get to Gary Vaynerchuk, correct?
Yeah. That almost makes me sound like a stalker, Damon. I'm a Vayner stalker.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I mean, but it was for a reason. I mean, it was, I really appreciate, the guy. I mean, I love his message. I love his work ethic. Yeah. I love what he does. So it wasn't even a question of, okay, let's just, look at this guy here I don't know, and let's see if I can get him to say hi to me. So it wasn't a question of that. It was, I was showing up every single day consistently, and not just when we see what he posts like 8 times a day. I would be on all 8 posts providing value and making side conversations in every one of his posts. Because that's the thing about engagement is you can put a comment in 2 different ways, right? You can put a comment where you basically say, hey, great job, I agree 100%. But you can also write a comment that encourages additional side conversations or engagement underneath your comment. So I was very, I've always had a very good knack of doing that in general. So I would start a lot of conversations in his, and so I would have the highest like comment, through most of his posts. So that got me noticed by his team. And so what happened at one point, it came up to them having it was like a contest. It was like a challenge or something. And I entered the challenge to a point of, doing the content side of it. And then they got back to me. It was actually one of his team members, Raycav, said, we see you like everywhere on Gary's stuff. We appreciate all the support you have done. So we would like to offer you a free ticket to come see Gary in Edmonton in March. Wow. So this started the blue. So that got me in the cert. And then of course, he replied to a couple of my comments after that as well. They tell me actually actually grabbed the phone out of their hand and wrote the comments himself on my post, which was a pretty cool story. And then what happened is he had a live. So I asked a very, a question that said, how do we make cybersecurity marketable? How do we get people to care? I basically just put that out to him. I know he doesn't do cybersecurity, but he definitely knows how to get people engaged and interested and follow. He knows that. That's he's one of the best at it. Mm-hmm. So I posted the question to him, and they liked that question. So when he was out driving in his car, they basically, like him, content is everywhere. They literally just asked him my question in his car, and he answered it while they were driving. Yeah. And they made a post of it. And of course I get a tag, Gary Vaynerchuk, talking about cybersecurity, as, because of Ron Craig, asked me this. And I thought, wow, oh, okay. I didn't even know it was coming. It was just like, you got to be kidding me. So that was great.
Dude, I still remember it. I remember him sitting in the back of the car and seeing the video, and I'm like, that's just cool as hell. Or Ron got on his radar.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm grateful, and I mean, I put the work in and I still do. I mean, I don't ease up. I mean, I still put the work in and day out to make sure that I'm providing the value, not just to my audience, but to the people that I enjoy. Like this, you guys included. I want to make sure that people are there for me. I'm there for them. I mean, what does Mike O'Connor say? Win-win.
It's win-win.
Keith Ferrazzi, talks about that in his book on connecting and you having aspirational contacts. And, it isn't, I mean, it's hard work. They're making contacts, and all those connections, but it isn't all about just at the end of the day getting a sale or a dollar. It's just getting interest, getting something back, but, that just reminded me of that. That's, and you have then the chutzpah, to go and actually, call the guy, why not? I'm calling him, I worked at Ford Motor Company. Well, I'm going to call the CEO, and, they don't get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. That was his whole point was, he was like, who's calling me? Okay, I'll talk to him.
Yeah. It's the courage to take the leap. It's like we talked about, when is a good time to start? When is a good time to reach out? When is a good time to tag somebody who might be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Where I'm not overly shy. I will tag the CEO of the Fortune 500 company, and I'll go for it. I tagged the CEO of TikTok the other day. Just why not?
It's just a reason to say you did it either, because what's real about it is that you are interested. You've been following him. You didn't just do it to say, hey, I got in touch with Gary V. You had a reason and interest in what they were talking about and those kind of things. And, that came through. So that's one of the reasons he picked up the phone. There's something for him there too, for sure.
It's the passion, because I said to him right on the, when I was on the other comments on that live, when I said that, I get really, really annoyed, really pissed off at times, most days when I see, companies, people, being taken advantage of by scammers and criminals, taking their money, taking their security, taking everything. That really gets me pissed off. So I went and I posed a question to him. I said, with your influence and with what you know and what you can do, how would I do that and what you can do for cybersecurity and actually get more eyeballs and more people to care about what's going on? And I think, I've done that. I think I've been successful to a degree where I've gotten a lot of people that follow me and read about security and I think that, you have to have the passion, you have to have the care, you have to be in it for the right reasons, which I am. And I literally just took that leap and I said to him, help me. What do I do? And you know what? Gary Vaynerchuk, he answered it.
That's awesome. I just love that story because, I've talked about it as well, the whole stalking thing. And, listen, if you want to connect with somebody and really, really do it, your story there is how you do it. You got to show them you're interested. They'll see you over time. And when you talk to people like Ira Bowman or Mike O'Connor or Paula Goodman or anyone that's got a significant following, that's not a following just because of their name, like Gary or Bill Gates or somebody like that just gets following because of their name, that's really worked it. They'll all say the same thing. It's about engaging with people and commenting and really what you think. One of the things that you said, I think, is critical to it too, is asking making the engaging comments that promote side comments. I'm horrible at it. I'm absolutely horrible at it. I even when I think about it, I'm horrible at it. But you are good at that. I see, because we interact a lot on the same posts, and you do a lot of that gets you 2, 3, 4 comments beyond it. So that's really a gift, and that's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it comes down to the caring what people are saying. When I go on there, I mean, I'm not really set out to make a side conversation for my own benefit, because that's one thing that you always have to be conscious of. Like if I come on your post for Exit Your Way and you're trying to promote your content, me coming on there and dropping a link to my stuff, or dropping image, hey, do this, and hey, look at me, I'm Ron Craig, and it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about you. I'm there to support you. So if I'm going to put a comment or a side comment, I'm going to try to bring something of value that's relevant. I'm not on there for myself, because that it stands out. You can see it, and unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that today. We're seeing more and more of it, where people are really, they're looking after themselves. It's very, very one-sided. They're on your post talking about themselves, how good they are.
Yeah. So. And you say that, and I sit there and I give my opinion on posts, and as soon as I hit the send button, I was like, that's not what I should do. Because it sucks, because I try to do it, but it is, it's a gift. It's a gift, and it's something you really need to be cognizant of. And when you develop the skill, you can really tell. Paula's on here, and she's talking about we talk. Well, I mean, I don't know anybody that uses words like she does. I mean, she's a writer extraordinaire, man, and it's beyond words. Her writing is so eloquent, and the thought behind it, and then the video messaging with it is. I literally, it takes me 3, 4, 5 times just to try to figure out what a message is. But I know for her, it's probably easy. And I sure appreciate your approach to it, Ron, because it does develop those side conversations that really get people thinking about what we're talking about in a post.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And, considering too, that I mean, I got on LinkedIn in 2005. I mean, I've been on forever, right? And you're light years ahead in the usage of it, and it's very cool to see you and what you're doing, and the copywriting that you're doing for people, because now you have people seek you out to try to help them with their social media posts and such like that, don't you?
Yeah. It's what do you say, when the stalker becomes the stalked?
Yeah.
No, it's I think I have a bit of I think I've always been very done very well when it comes to the communication part in technology and in security, and whether that's by design or by effort or work, or the fact that I'm comfortable getting in front of people and talking, is I have a knack for being able to take something that's overly technical and actually having a lot of people being able to understand what's, because, a lot of technical people are, their communication skills aren't always, they're used to, I think, dealing with peers. I shouldn't say they're bad. They're not bad at all. I mean, they're using acronyms and technology and technical terms that are, they're very brilliant people. I'm a little smart myself, but I think in a lot of cases, we are kind of in a little bit of a bubble where we're used to communicating and talking to our peers, which are also technical. And of course, you don't really get that, the ability to kind of go outside of that bubble in a lot of cases. And I've had the fortune where I've worked a lot of places in my life where I've had to wear a lot of hats. I've had to, run a lot of different areas where I had to be the support. I had to help, the lady that had, that was at the desk, and, she's ready to retire, doesn't really know how to use a computer that well, and have the patience to sit there and communicate it and learn how to put it into a way she could understand, let's say. So I would do that. And I think what I'm doing now is an extension of that, of everything that I kind of learned. Because I always look at it that if no one knows what you're talking about, you might as well not even be talking. You're really just wasting your time, because you're not doing anybody any good. So, and my goal is to make sure that I raise security awareness so that, people and employees and businesses and families and parents and, children, they're out there and using technology as safely as they possibly can. But if they don't understand the message that I'm actually giving them, then I'm just blowing air at that point, right? And it's not helping anybody. I'm not doing what I set out to do. The goal isn't being met.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. I mean, you see some of the smartest people in the world who come together, and the real masters, the real gift that they can do is, and I've had professors like that, that can come out and do a lecture on, highly technical or scientific subject and do it, engage the audience with layman's terms, and they master it so well that they can talk to anybody about it. That's a real gift. That's just exceptional. I've always been like really impressed. I mean, I think Fauci, in a way, can come out and talk about that kind of stuff, and has that demeanor to do it, like, and makes it understandable and digestible for the layman or anybody else.
Yep. No, I agree, and it's worked out well for me, because I mean, I've been, I haven't had to do a lot of marketing or a lot of, people really have reached out to me to say, can you help us, get our message across? And it really started with Wiser, which is also one of my very good friends, Wiser, free security awareness, because, first of all, his messages was very well aligned to what I wanted to do. I wanted to spread awareness and give, awareness to everybody. And here's a guy building a startup company, was doing the exact same thing. So we actually had a lot of compatible energy and goals in the beginning, and I became an affiliate of his. And then, I managed to get a bunch of people to sign up on that. And then we kind of, were talking one day, and he said, I think you would be better off kind of just writing, the posts and the content for me and helping me out that way. So I didn't even have aspirations of business at that point. So he actually is the one that really gave me the confidence and helped me, to say, you're good at this. You're good at this, the writing and the marketing and the content and the copywriting side of it. And I want to be your client, not you mine. And it was, and it's kind of how it went. And I started doing that. And then, from there, I have about 8 security companies that I actually write copy for now. And it's been fantastic. And they're all reaching out to me really for the same kind of reason, where I have the ability I speak the language, but I can also translate the language. So there's been a lot of interest in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, translating it is really the key there, because, and I think back to the people I've known, like Andrew said, there are people that understand how to translate it into terms that their audience understands. And that's really the key to it. And security is one of the things that always has kind of, I don't want to say not baffled me, but it's really, because there's so many different things to worry about, and as in our work, we're working with business owners and we're business owners. And when you look at it, you go, okay, what do I really worry about and what don't I worry about anymore? And what are the new things that I should be worrying about that I didn't know about or didn't know about last week or need to know about? And it's people like you that can bring it to people like us. So we got at least half a chance.
There's a lot of rats out there.
Oh yeah. Because look at these ransomware jokers, and they get millions of dollars too. I mean, it's not like you're getting $50 and some Starbucks on the corner from somebody for what they do. They're getting hospitals and colleges and all these other places, and that scares the heck out of me.
Yep. It's there's ransomware and cybersecurity. I mean, even the CEO of IBM said a couple of years ago that it's the biggest threat of our time, and a lot of small businesses don't survive a major attack. I mean, you got to think, if they come to you and ransom your company and you have a small business and they hit you up for 1.5 million, you're looking at the bank account and going, that's a problem. And even with cyber insurance, which isn't cut and dry to get that, and even if you're going to even get paid, the payout from that, you still have to meet certain controls, and just like any insurance, right? There's gonna you're looking for a way not to pay that out. So you have to be careful. A lot of companies won't survive that, and I actually had a post out that later. It was early this year or late last year, but about the company in the UK that 200 people were out of work. They had to shut down the entire plant because they just could not survive the payout, the ransom. 200 people out of work just like that because of they didn't have they didn't take care of the fundamentals. that were there. And it's not easy. I mean, nobody is definitely out there saying that that this stuff is easy. It isn't. It absolutely isn't. But it's not something that you also want to put to the sideline and react, because we're gonna security has always been a something that people react. It's like anything. I think it's human nature, honestly. We react at the last second for a lot of things, and it's too late then. It just is too late at that point. So you got to be proactive.
We have a lot of clients that are in e-commerce, right? So they're doing, and you would think that they would be lining up to make sure that their cybersecurity policies on insurance are solid, and it is like, just like, I don't know, it's trying to teach somebody that the color black is white, almost, to get them to invest anything in cybersecurity coverage, and even beyond simple basic security. They just don't really realize it because it's never happened, like you said, and they would react when it does happen. But when it does happen and you're basically hosed, it's too late.
Yep. And they're neglecting the user side of it a lot, because they're always focusing on, what kind of tools can I put in place, spending a lot of money. But the thing is that, what we talk about, in security is, they, we have to close all the doors, all the holes. We have to have everything protected. They only have to find one way in.
Yeah.
And they're going to find the path of least resistance. So that could be somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience or security awareness training, that's sitting, let's say, in the front office, and they get through, they click a phishing email, that they're tricked, they click it and it installs the malware, and, the company's ransomed, and there you go. There's another small business basically gone at that point. And so, people are not taking care of both sides. You have to have obviously the technology, you have to have the tools, and you have to have the protection on that end, but you also have to have the people trained. And that's why I kind of really gravitated towards Wiser in the beginning, because right off the get-go, I could tell this guy's going somewhere. He just does it better than everybody else. I mean, I've used other companies. I've used, before, I've used all these, and it's just so complex. It's long, it's complex, it's boring. And, I get to them, all of a sudden it's like, it's fun. They're like one minute videos.
Everybody's benefit there a little bit. Maybe don't know Wiser. You want to?
Wiser free security. Yeah, it's getwiser.com. And he's a client of mine, a good friend of mine, and he gives away the majority of it for free. Yeah. No catch.
Well, I've done some of the training on there, and it's good. I mean, some of the training, the informative stuff, it's good stuff. And it is, again, it's the translation into something that people can understand, because you are right. I mean, the quality of the phishing emails anymore, the amount of attacks you're getting, just when we're just talking about email, and that's not even the technical stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But, it's when you look at a business and you just say you had 20 employees and they were all over the age for everything from all over the range for age, education, type of jobs they're doing. So if you got say you got an HVAC company with 20 employees, and you've got your field people out there on their phone devices, you've got the people in the office on their computers, and somebody in the warehouse is doing this or that, and the owner and the accountants and whoever else, you're trying to teach people with such varying levels of technology awareness and skills in it and the whole thing. Even in a small company, it's super hard. It's very difficult at the best. So it's amazing, honestly, that more people don't get hacked than do.
Well, there's a lot we don't know, and that's where it gets also scary too, because a lot of the time that these attacks, these criminals could be poking around in your network for 6 months before they even lay and drop the axe, because what happens is they want to make sure that you have no way to recover. So if they can get in, they want to stay in there for a bit, and they want to basically poison the backups for the next 6 months. They want to, especially for something like Garmin, which you sell the Garmin attack,
Garmin.
Yeah, they would have probably been in there for months, setting that whole thing up and putting that all together, so that when it came time to, drop the hatchet, when they say, the ransomware goes out with whatever, the script goes out and says, let's ransom the entire network. They're thinking, well, we'll just go back, to our backups. Oh, wait, all 9 months are completely encrypted or wrecked. We have nothing to go back. They're basically screwed at that point. And they had to pay the ransom from what we think at this point. So, I think it was a $10 million ransom. And so even somebody like Garmin, as big of a company with, billions of dollars of revenue, still fall victim to that. And, and they can absorb the loss, but, small businesses can't absorb that loss. And, one thing about breaches and hacking is, we always look at it as the crime that keeps on taking, because what happens is the data that they grab from these companies, they don't get rid of it. They take a copy, they grab it, they take it out of there. So they actually have all that personal information to use that to engineer and attack somebody else. So it's like an exponential, it keeps on going, like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going. And you don't really know the final, casualty body count of what's actually going to happen from these breaches. So you want to make sure that, we really get the grips on these things. And get people trained and, get budgets to where they need to be, for, every CEO out there, if they're watching this and seeing it, think about it. Can you afford in your small business today, if somebody came on there and you had no backups and no way to recover, do you have $2 million in the bank? To get that data back, plus whatever lawsuits or whatever's going to happen from your client data that you lost, that you failed to protect, because it's cascading. Right. So you want to make sure that we definitely get on top of this for sure.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. That's a great thing to think about, on a smaller level. We even had a client a couple years ago that had someone and it must have been through phishing or something. Someone got into the CEO's email and had been listening for a very long time and watching their wire transfers going back and forth, offshore wire transfers for product. And intercepted an email, had them change the account where a wire transfer was going, and they initiated the wire transfer, but they somehow stopped it before it got to the other end. But it was that close, because there was something that didn't feel right in the way the email was written, and they messaged the supplier, and the supplier said, no, we didn't change it, and they stopped it or something. It was super close, but they just, like you said, it just sits in the background and listens and listens and listens, or even on a personal level now too. What actually my wife had it happen to her is someone, I don't know if it was phishing or what it was, but they were doing small transactions out of her account and she didn't realize it. And then all of a sudden they hit it with a big one. And it's just the different tactics all the way into the Garmin thing, which is, to me, that's, if they can hit Garmin, they can hit anybody. Just about.
Yeah. No, they're also one of the best out there, or best of the worst. I don't know what the right word is, but EvoCore. They're kind of the elite, organized crime for the hacking. So they weren't hit by but Twitter. The Twitter was just let's say script kiddie, if you want to use the old term. They're just a bunch of a couple guys or a few guys that were just really good at making connections and getting in there and building trust. That's the whole thing. It's kind of coming back to the social media and the selling and the clients and the business. People buy from those they trust.
Yeah.
And the fine line between like marketing and scamming, there really is a line there. There's a fine line between, it's the exact same strategies that are used. You go through, you have to build trust. You have to. And if somebody implicitly trusts you and you connect to somebody else that's connected to them, there's a level of trust there that you don't necessarily see. And we see that even when you're connecting the dots on LinkedIn, right? If you're going to connect to somebody reaches out to you to connect, you say, oh, Dave, okay, they're connected to Damon. They're probably okay. But you may have missed that and connected to a scammer, right? But because I see them connected to you, I am more likely to click accept on them, right? So it's the same idea. It all comes down to that trust level and that trust factor.
Yeah. Well, and when I see all the Bitcoin and Forex people that you're connected to, I just connect to them right away. So
300, I think I had 312 as of today that I haven't dealt with that came in just this week alone. They love me.
yeah, I do love you, and I love hearing you talk about it too, because Ron loves it, and then the wonderful messages you get. So I and that's a whole other topic that we could go off on, but it is frustrating, I'm sure, for you, and entertaining it for everyone else at the same time. So
I live to serve. What can I say?
Yeah, it is good, and but it is interesting though when you look at social media and LinkedIn especially, and the amount of business that is done because the relationships are built, like you talked a while ago with the Gary Vee example, and building and the trust and engaging and that kind of things, and getting to know people through their interactions, what you can really do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, everything comes down to trust, and you have to build that trust relationship. And, unfortunately, there's people out there that are building these relationships to be used for evil. And, and they're using the same strategies that we're out there using for good. And, and it's like, it's a matter of, I guess, perspective. I think a question came up, months ago. I remember somebody was asking me about, like, why do criminals do what they do? Like, I don't understand it. And the only really explanation I had to them was, I don't think we can understand it. I don't think that we have the capability to even understand why, because I can never even consider doing something that would hurt somebody or be malicious or take advantage of somebody. So I can't understand it. I can't really give you a good answer. We just know that there's, obviously they're hurting, or there's something wrong with them. I don't know. But they're doing these things, and we never understand or never know even what they're going through. I mean, I think we're living in a dream world to a point where we think that even maybe they are victims themselves. They may be working, in a country or at a place or at an organization where they're being forced to do this scamming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. We don't know, so we can't. So what we got to do is we have to defend better. We have to defend, whether it's business, whether it's security, whether it's, economics, economy, it doesn't matter. We just have to be very good at defending. Yeah. And did not let them in. And that's, to me, that's the best way to go about it. It's what we call blue team.
Yeah. Well, just really, really quick here. So, how much do you think the whole COVID thing and the remote work has increased the what do you call it? The security. What's that term? There's one term about the security area of a company, or the entry points for a company. How much, so if it did it increase it by 5-fold, 10-fold, do you think, or how much? Because
I've seen statistics out there that
you mean vulnerabilities? Is that
the attack area or something?
Risk. If we look at it as risk and in terms of what's coming in, I mean, I've seen statistics and analytics out there that are showing, increases in targeting, people at home and home networks by up to 80%. Increase in attacks, because they know that the home network, the home router, whatever thing you bought at Best Buy or whatever, it doesn't match up. Default passwords. So they know it's a much easier target to get into you. And again, it comes back to the whole trust. Once I get into you in your home at your network, before it used to be getting access to get a gift card, on a personal level, but now, we can all be jump points. It doesn't matter whether we're, a business, a person, a vendor, these criminals are always looking for jump points. They're looking for getting into your small business because you are a contractor that's working on aerospace technology for these. So they know they're not going to get into, let's say, a large aerospace company. That's a lot of work. The ROI isn't there. But if they can get into this small shop who builds one of the bolts that goes on the engine, who has access to a portion of the network at the large aerospace company, that, again, back to trust. They go through that path, right? And that's where, they're doing a lot of work to close those holes and make sure that, especially in like military type contracts, that they're certified.
Yeah.
That they're watching that, because they know that is a vector, a very often overlooked vector.
Yeah, that is a great point. And it is one of those things that if you got a small business, you need to understand that you may not be the target, or your customers could be the ultimate target that they're looking for. That's it's crazy. And I'm sure IT people are everywhere, are scratching their heads over and really up at night wondering how the heck they're going to keep their data safe when you got, hundreds or thousands of people now working from home that they don't know what the heck they've got set up there. And yeah. So Ron, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's a good way to do that? Is it to reach out on LinkedIn?
Well, you can go through one of the many Bitcoin scammers that know me. I'm known everywhere in that industry, apparently.
There you go.
And anybody who calls me dear, I've got 8 of those today. But LinkedIn is pretty much where I do the majority of everything. So just go to my profile. I think it's Ron W. Craig is my it's / whatever the LinkedIn URL is / Ron W. Craig.
We'll URL in
reach out, send me a message, follow, connect. I'm always always interested in talking to people if I can help. And, even if you need some advice, I mean, I'm always there. I'm always willing to help. And if, somebody's not sure what to do, they got an issue with, maybe some issues at home, technology, how to keep an iPad safe, keep their kids, things like that. If, I have a lot of posts out there, people can search for my profile. I put a lot of guides out there over the last year and a half on how to secure your router, how to, things like, Instagram, where most kids have a fake one, stuff like that. So you just go through, grab some stuff there. And of course, my client posts that I do as well, that I post with a lot of value there, a lot of good information, especially from Wiser. They have a webinar coming up on Tuesday that actually is targeting the general audience and going through like a general awareness for like every single person on the planet. So that's a great one if people want to sign up for that.
Wow. Yeah, very good.
Well, I gotta say, your post today with the whale shark combination with somebody in the mouth, that was awesome. With the legs kicking, that was great.
Yeah, I actually made that GIF myself. 5 hours to make that. I should be allowed to touch a thingy that does art stuff. I almost broke all my stuff here. But I got it done. I'm farming that out next time. I'm not doing that again.
Well, it was good. It was good, though. I tell you, it was good, and I enjoy your posts. I'm glad we were able to get you on, Ron, and thank you so much. And I really appreciate what you do, because the information that you and the people you work with share is really awesome. And thanks for coming and sharing the whole Gary V stalking story, which is great. So maybe it'll inspire some people to go out and do try to meet those aspirational contacts, as Andrew said. So good stuff. Well,
yeah, that's awesome. And if anybody needs any help with with copywriting, ghostwriting, technical writing, in the technology, cybersecurity industry, then look me up. I'm ready, willing, and able to help who I can.
Well, Ron Craig, copywriter for cybersecurity and technology companies, and the master of the LinkedIn Bitcoin group. So have a great day. We'll be back
because of you. Thanks.